Diana's driver, Henry Paul, who was under the influence and driving almost 2 times the posted speed limit, would wreck the vehicle. He lost control of the vehicle carrying the People's Princess, her boyfriend, Dodi Fayed, and their bodyguard, Trevor Reese Jones, crashing into a wall of the tunnel and then into a pillar supporting the structure. Fayed and Paul would be killed instantly, but Diana was still alive. Emergency services would arrive at the scene within 5 minutes and transport her to a hospital, but she would not survive. She ultimately succumbed to her injuries, suffering from 2 heart attacks and a rip in the left pulmonary vein of her heart at 4:53 in the morning of the 31st of August, 1997. Just over 25 years now since her passing, millions question, was this a tragic accident or a conspiracy to murder the Princess of Wales? Okay, before we continue, I am going to go through my 2 requests. In the comments section down below, you will find a pinned post with 3 cases that I am interested in covering soon. So please, please, please take a look at that pinned comment and comment down below which case you would like to hear the most. Second and final request: if you enjoy this video or any of the content that you have heard on my channel thus far, I request that you please like the video and subscribe. Okay, so that concludes my 2 requests, and let's jump back into this case of Princess Diana. Her death would lead to a global outpouring of grief and intense media attention. Much of the public would criticize the royal family for what many determined to be a lackluster response to this sudden death of the Prince of Wales' former wife, which very much raised eyebrows to the public. But before we fully jump into the royal family and their response, let's take a deeper dive into who several generations. On her father's side, the Earls of Spencer date back to the 18th century, beginning with John Spencer, first Earl Spencer, born in 1734. Diana's maternal grandfather, Maurice, was a close friend of George VI, and her maternal grandmother, Ruth, the Baroness Fermoy, was a lady-in-waiting to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. When Diana's father, John Spencer, and her mother, Frances Roche, married in 1954, the wedding was attended by the Queen, Prince Philip, the Queen Mother, Princess Margaret, and Princess Anne. She grew up in Park House, situated on the Sandringham estate, with the British royal family often holidaying at the neighboring Sandringham house, playing with the Queen's children in her youth. Despite all of this, in her biography titled Her True Story, in her own words, she shared that her childhood was actually both unhappy and unstable, and her parents would ultimately go on to divorce and remarry. But let us fast forward to 1981, when the royal wedding takes place, and when Diana officially becomes princess. On the 29th of July of 1981, Diana married Charles, Prince of Wales. He was the heir apparent to the British throne, and they would be wed at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. The fairy tale wedding of Princess Diana and Prince Charles cemented its place in 80s television history, with over 750 million people in 74 different countries tuning in to watch the event. At this time, Charles was 32 and Diana was barely 20 years old. She looked angelic and stunning in her sumptuous taffeta gown, complete with a 25-foot train and her famous blue sapphire engagement ring, contributing to what was known as the wedding of the century. Charles and Diana would go on to have 2 children. Prince William, born 11 months after their wedding on the 11th of June, 1982, followed by Prince Harry on the 15th of September, 1984, with William being second in line to the British throne and Prince Harry 6th. Once she had Harry, it was said that Diana had produced her, quote, heir and her spare, end quote. And it was at this time that she would essentially become useless to Charles and the royal family, as she had secured Prince Charles' succession and had birthed 2 boys. William would go on to marry Catherine, better known as Kate Middleton, in 2011, Meghan Markle, who is now the Duchess of Sussex, and they have two children, Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor and Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. Because this video is about Princess Diana, I am not going to deep dive into the mistreatment of Meghan Markle by the royal family, but I will say, after researching what Diana went through and also knowing what Meghan has gone through, there are some similarities that are quite concerning. Despite Diana and Charles having a fairy tale wedding, their marriage was nothing close to happy. They would ultimately divorce in 1996 after the royal family was rocked by revelations about the news of infidelity. Shortly after their nuptials, it became evident quickly that Charles and Diana were not a love match, and that Diana had very little in common with Charles or his family, which is not surprising given their 12-year age gap. Diana would call her wedding day the worst day of her life, explaining that she felt like a lamb to the slaughter. Charles and Diana's relationship quickly soured, and the tabloids of the day were obsessed with tracking their strained relationship. She would spend much of her time in Buckingham Palace feeling incredibly lonely and depressed, and this would cause her to develop anxiety and eating disorders. It was reported by a source close to Princess Diana that it seemed as though half of the royal family resented her and the other half hated her. So by 1992, the couple had officially separated, and their official divorce would come in 1996. Their age gap contributed to this, as mentioned, in addition to dysfunction within the royal family, and the fact that Diana and Charles were practically strangers at the time of their wedding. They had only met 13 times before their wedding day, and furthermore, it was said that Prince Charles was still in love with Camilla Parker, whom he had formerly dated in the 70s, and who he would eventually go on to marry in 2005. So, with all of that background, where does the potential for conspiracy and murder lie in the royal family? During her relationship with Prince Charles, Princess Diana underwent a stunning transformation, becoming one of the most popular royals in history. Her fame was astronomical. No one in the royal family had experienced this before, and eventually Diana became known as the People's Princess. When the couple was out on public tours, the crowds would be clamoring to just get a glimpse of her. It was all about her. Not many people were any of the public affection, which is quite sad because some of Princess Diana's most fond memories were connecting with the public. And so, after years of tension and unhappiness, Queen Elizabeth recommended that they move toward divorce. So, as mentioned earlier, the couple ends up separating in 1992 after there had been years of tabloid speculation about the state of the marriage, and ultimately divorced in 1996. 1 year later, Princess Diana would die. And when Diana died, the public became incredibly angry at the royal family's lack of public response to her death. This tragic death unified the country in their grief. However, oddly, the royal family was nowhere to be seen, as thousands of tributes to Diana poured in throughout the country, especially close to Buckingham Palace. Queen Elizabeth II would face her lowest popularity throughout her reign, given how she publicly did not show up the way the country would have expected or hoped of the Queen. In the death of the people's princess. And it wouldn't be until Princess Diana's funeral, when the Queen bowed her head at Diana's casket, that the public would begin to change their view of the Queen back to something more positive. So there are so many conspiracy theories, and they take a number of other forms. But from what I've read, all claim to point to the same fundamental belief that somebody wanted to kill Diana, and they helped orchestrate that night's fatal crash. Those conspiracies were so convincing and so widespread that the Met Police were forced to launch Operation Paget, an inquiry to establish whether there was any truth in these theories, and it would last years and cost millions of pounds. So the report would examine 175 theories about what happened that night. Some of them were small and some of them profound. And officially on the record, it found that none of them were true. But still, 25 years later, after her death, many people are convinced that this was premeditated murder, and these conspiracies continue to rage on. The main motivating factor behind the conspiracies is the belief that Diana herself thought she was going to be killed, and that much, it appears, is true. Diana had written a letter in 1996, a year before her death, and stored it away for safekeeping, according to her one-time butler, Paul Burrell. The letter read as follows: I am sitting here at my desk today in October, longing for someone to hug me and encourage me to keep strong and hold my head high. This particular phase in my life is the most dangerous. My husband some members of the royal family and Diana. However, it is hard to ignore that letter. People who doubt the official course of events say that its central claim about Mr. Ball being drunk at the time of the crash was not only false, but was a lie spread in the media to cover up the killing. Some argue that this was done in part by swapping his body with another person so that the toxicology results would appear correct. There are a number of reasons why people believe this. Mr. Ball did not seem to behave like he was drunk earlier on in the night, for instance, and beliefs about him being in the pay of security services come from the fact that he appeared to have more money than would be expected for someone with his role, and that some security offices have suggested they might have had a French source inside the hotel. Upon investigation, numerous tests showed that Mr. Ball's blood had alcohol in it, though there were mistakes made with the tests, so many people question the accuracy, and others question if there was this conspiracy to swap his body with another person, again to ensure that toxicology results would show alcohol in the bloodstream. Furthermore, third-party investigations suggest that there were many details the French police ignored, like 2 parallel skid marks at the tunnel entrance that were never taken into consideration. This very same investigation would reveal that the only way the Mercedes S280 that Diana was being driven in, the only way that it could have become airborne and remained so for 85 feet as claimed in the accident details, would have been by hitting a second vehicle, which has never been noted in the official report. It's only claimed that the car ran into structures in the tunnel. Another theory is that the scene of the accident was not treated properly. The crime scene was described as busier than a discounted retail sale, and there was fear that it was rapidly falling into a state of ruination. It was being treated simply as just your average traffic accident, which is quite crazy considering the Princess of Wales was involved. Reports say that once the deceased and injured parties had been removed from the scene, almost immediately street sweepers came in to clear the debris. The question remains, were vital clues wiped away in that very moment that would help point or solve this case and show that it was no accident? The writers of the Operation Paget report would say that such a conspiracy would require a substantial number of experts to both break their ethics and then lie about doing so. And although that may be true, how many times in history have we seen this happen? A system as deep and resourceful as the monarchy could likely pull this off if there is enough motivation, don't you think? The relationship between Queen Elizabeth II and Princess speculation over the years. Their relationship had many ups and downs throughout their time, and Diana's incredibly strained relationship with Charles did not help. Both Diana and Charles reportedly had affairs during their marriage, which did not paint the picture of a typical royal family. It's reported that the Queen very much had the mindset of you must stand by your husband and you lay in the bed that you make. There were times that the Queen was supportive of Diana and offered her encouragement, but there were also many times, if not more, that Diana reported she was the opposite. Some people claim that the Queen's relationship with Diana was the one that she was never quite able to handle. And it is said that Diana endured the icy royal snobbery upon her marriage to Prince Charles, especially because she was considered an outsider, which is quite sad if you think about the fact that the royal family chose her. 5 days after Diana's death, the Queen stated from the balcony of Buckingham Palace, quote, "She was an exceptional and gifted human being. In good times and bad, she never lost her capacity to smile and laugh, nor to inspire others with her warmth and kindness. I admired and respected her for her energy and commitment to others, and especially for her devotion to her 2 boys." End quote. This would be the first time that the Queen spoke publicly of Diana's death, and this also outraged the public because it took 5 days to do so. Just 1 year ago in 2021, a bronze statue of Princess Diana was unveiled in the sunken garden of Kensington Palace, and the Queen chose not to be present. This statue shows Princess Diana with 3 children. Now, according to the artists of this statue, the 3 children represent all of the humanitarian causes that Princess Diana advocated for. However, some conspiracy theorists don't buy that. Now we know that Princess Diana had 2 children, Prince William and Prince Harry. So, 2 of the 3 children could likely be for them. But then the question is, who is the 3rd child? Well, the night of Princess Diana's accident, her boyfriend at the time was in the vehicle with her, who also died. He was of Egyptian descent, and there is speculation that she was with child and his child, and people speculate that the royal family did not like the idea of Prince Harry and Prince William having a half-brother of Egyptian descent. And so these conspiracy theorists who believe that these 3 children do not represent her humanitarian fight, but rather her 3 children, 2 that we know of and 1 that, if she was pregnant, perished with her as well in the crash. So, Princess Diana was envied by stylish designers. She was best known for her charitable work. And during her marriage, the princess was president or patron of over 100 charities. Diana's activism and glamour made her an international icon and earned her enduring popularity as well as unprecedented public scrutiny exacerbated by her tumultuous private life. She used her celebrity status to raise awareness for a number of causes, from leprosy to domestic violence to mental health and the fight against AIDS. There were many more as well that she advocated for, and in all ways, she was a champion of causes. She was beautiful both inside and out. She became the most photographed woman, and all who had the honor of being in her presence felt the magic that was Diana. One of Diana's most fervent beliefs was that young people have the power to change the world for the better. It is really sad to think about the life that was lost in Princess Diana's death and all that she could have gone on to accomplish. That is going to conclude the case of the potential murder of Princess Diana. Like I said in the beginning, there is so much information out there about this that it was not easy to put this together. I do my best to only research from reputable sources and cross-check. And so I hope that you enjoyed learning about this. There is definitely more out there that you can certainly go research yourself and do a deep dive on. But I did not want to make this a 10-hour video. I did want to just share this sweet fact that at Princess Diana's funeral, the hymn "Guide Me, O Thy Great Redeemer" was sung at her funeral when Prince Harry was just 12 years old, and in a touching tribute to his mother, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle chose to feature this very same hymn during their wedding ceremony. I am also just going to share some other interesting facts about Princess Diana. So, Diana first met Prince Charles when she was 16 years old, and interestingly, he was dating her older sister, Lady Sarah, at the time. I did touch on this briefly in the case that Diana said she was deeply in love with Barry Manaki while he was a Metropolitan Police officer tasked with providing her security. However, he would die in a car crash on the 14th of May in 1987, 7 months after he was moved off royalty protection duties after their close relationship was exposed. Princess Diana believed he was murdered in revenge and shared her theory with her speech coach, Peter Settlin, during videotaped conversations, which would later be broadcasted on TV. Another fact is that Diana had regular conversations with Simone Simmons, who was described as an energy healer. Another fact, Princess Diana was close friends with Queen frontman Freddie Mercury and treated her to a night on the town in a London gay bar. Her wedding gown was designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel, and it went on display at her former Kensington Palace was married in the Spencer tiara, which was handed down through her own blood relatives. Most royal women marry in a tiara lent to them by the royal family, but Diana wanted something from her own lineage. This specific tiara, the Spencer tiara, was created by jewelers in the 1930s, long before Lady Diana Spencer became a princess. A very interesting fact is that Diana famously walked a field of landmines in Angola in 1997, just months before her death. Wearing a bomb vest and face shield, she was photographed putting herself in harm's way to promote the cause of charity, the Halo Trust. Shortly after Princess Diana did this, the Ottawa Mine Ban Treaty was signed, calling for all countries to unite to rid the world of landmines. Another fact, Diana took the hand of an HIV-positive man at London Middlesex Hospital without gloves on at a time when many feared incorrectly that the virus could pass through skin contact. This moment of kindness in April of 1987 became one of Diana's most famous acts of compassion. Princess Diana took Prince William and Prince Harry to visit Center Point, a homeless charity which Prince William still works with in his capacity as patron. Princess Diana had many friends in the media, and among one of her closest was Richard Kay, a former royal correspondent for the Daily Mail. Her last phone call prior to her death in the Paris car crash in the early hours of the 31st of August, 1997 was to Kay. When Diana was younger, she studied ballet and wanted to become a professional dancer, but grew too tall to continue. Before she met Prince Charles and became a princess, Diana worked many odd jobs, including as a nanny and a school teacher. She was paid $5 an hour to play with children, do laundry, and clean. And she would also work as a kindergarten teacher part-time in London, but had to give this up when she married Charles. And finally, I'm gonna leave it with this, which I think is an incredible fact about her. She omitted part of her vows. So in standard tradition, there is a part of the vow that states that the wife will obey her husband, which is from the Book of Common Prayer. But Diana broke barriers and also started a new tradition when she omitted this part, refusing to say that she would obey